I just want to make sure that everybody has their seat belts buckled. All right, they're holding on to their hats and they're ready to go, right? Because this is going to be a great night. I want to tell you that I do have a whole list of jokes here, but mine aren't nearly as good, so I'm not going to even try to compete, right? But I want to tell you, tonight's comedian, he shares the Guinness Book of World Record for the longest comedy show of over 8 days. All right, think about that, 8 days. All right, we've got recently released a dry bar comedy special, and as a favorite on the Blue Collar Radio, please welcome Rick Roberts.
All right, welcome out. Like you said, my name's Rick Roberts, and yeah, I've got a Guinness Book World Record for 8-day comedy show. So you guys buckle in. If you need a bathroom break, go ahead and hit it. We're going to see if we can break it here tonight. What do you think? 8 days, yeah, craziness. Well, it's good to be here. It's good to see snow. I live down in Nashville, Tennessee, so we don't see a whole lot of it. If we get a dusting, they shut everything down for 2 or 3 days. So this was pretty cool to see it up here. And how many folks have been in Tennessee out there? Just curious. Oh, quite a few. How many have been to Nashville? Quite a few, yeah. I moved there about 20 years ago from Kentucky. I moved there when they still made country music. Y'all remember those days? Like real country music? They make it now, but they don't make it for people my age. You know, my daughter, she's 9. She likes Taylor Swift a whole lot, so I listen to a lot of that in the car. Have you ever listened to Taylor Swift? Yeah, I've listened so much I figured her out, man. She is angry. That's all you got to know about Taylor Swift. She needs to eat a sandwich or something. I don't know what's going on with that girl, but every song she's mad at somebody else, isn't she? We counted it up. She's got 16 different songs about breaking up with boyfriends. I mean, 16. After that many, its problem could be you, right? Why you got to be so mean? That's what I want to know. Just shake it off. Then I was thinking, could you imagine guys going on a date with her the whole time you're just thinking, what does my name rhyme with, right? We're going to know all about that guy. Yeah, I grew up on rock and roll, though. Gang rock and rollers out there? Where y'all at? Yeah, you look like a rock and roller. Yeah. What was your first concert you ever went to? Who was it? Metallica. That's a good first concert right there. Anybody out there beat that for a first concert? Gary, who was yours? Must have been a pretty good one. Yeah, country. My first concert, looking back, it was kind of weird, but I went to see Kiss. You remember Kiss? I saw them when I was in 7th grade. And I saw them 2 years ago. And, whew, they need the makeup this time around, don't they? That is a wagon load of ugly on tour right there. Whole concert sponsored by Mary Kay just to help them out. 4 guys in a pink tour bus. Woo. Yeah, when I was a kid, I liked them because they would blow stuff up on stage, you know. One guy would spit blood on people. Remember that? Now if it happens, they got to stop the show and make sure he doesn't have a medical condition. He's getting up there, you know. But that was the craziest band I could see when I was a kid. They got people now, I don't even understand what they're trying to do. My next-door neighbor, his kid's into really dark, heavy metal stuff. He wanted to go see Marilyn Manson for his first concert. You ever seen that creature? I mean, I don't know. It looks like Alice Cooper got hit by a Peterbilt truck or something. I don't know what's going on there, but I said, you're not going to take him to see that guy, are you? He's like, I don't know. Should I? I'm like, no. He's like, you're just jealous of him. I'm like, why would I be? He's a good-looking fella. First off, you're right. I'm jealous of that. Looks like he fell asleep in a tackle box and rolled over too many times. He said he's a millionaire. That's why you're jealous. I'm like, I'm not jealous of that. He probably started with $2 million. Maybe that's how it happened, right? But could you imagine, like, hitting the Powerball or something like that and building your dream home, and then that guy ends up living next door to you? Yeah, the real estate agent wouldn't tell you. Just be walking down your driveway one morning. Hey, have you seen my dog anywhere? I ate him. Blah. All right. See you at my moving sale. He's probably better than my neighbor, though. I got kind of a weirdo neighbor. Anybody else out there got a weirdo neighbor? Make sure they're not here first before you raise your hand. A couple people got busted on that one. Yeah, I don't know if weirdo is the right word, but I was coming home from a show one night, pulling in my driveway at 2 in the morning. My neighbor is on a ladder up against my house trying to yank down my Christmas lights. I mean, it was 4th of July weekend, but those are my Christmas lights. I'm going to let them shine. Yeah, my neighbor's got too many cats. That's our big problem right now. How many cats do you think you should have if you live in a neighborhood house? He said 4 over there, 1. One's a little bit high, but we can start with that one. My neighbor's got 9 cats. I know, that's 81 lives. It's going to take me the rest of my life to get rid of all theirs. I had to watch his cats while he was on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know anything about cats. I'm allergic, so I never really paid attention, but everything I've heard about cats my entire life has been not true at all. Like they always land on their feet? No. Not if you got a ceiling fan cranked up a couple of notches. Like, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't hurt a ceiling fan, you know. But yeah, my neighbor's a little bit odd. I live kind of out in the country, out in Tennessee. I grew up in Kentucky doing tobacco farming. We got any farmers out there? This kid, I like this kid. He agrees to everything. What kind of farming does he do? Did you know he was a farmer? No. What's his name? Sage? Zane. Oh, that's a cool name. Zane, if you had a farm, what kind of stuff would you put on it? A canoe? A glue farm. Well, we have a couple of old horses I can give to you. We'll start you off. You know, the problem with the glue farm is once you start it, you're kind of stuck there. So I know a guy named Elmer I can hook you up with. He'll take care of business for you. That's good, though. He's creative, so that's good. Yeah, I met my wife. We moved down to Tennessee. I've been married for almost 20 years. I can't believe it's gone by that fast. But I always like to find out who the oldest married couple in the room is. Be proud about it. Who's been married more than 20 years out there? That's pretty good. 30? Several people. 35. 40? 45? It's a standoff. 50. How long for you? 45. What about over here? 55. Wow. How about a nice round of applause over there? You got some catching up to do. 55? That's actually, y'all must have got married right out of high school. Did y'all meet at like a Sadie Hawkins dance or something like that? Yeah. 55 years. How did y'all meet each other? In high school? And then you kind of kept in touch and got married just like that, huh? That's great. You got kids, grandkids? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me piece this together. All right. So, yeah, you kind of look like you belong to them. That's good. And where's the other? You got others? That's great. Yeah, I hear the grandkids are better than the kids. No offense, but no, that's great. Yeah, 55 years. My parents been married for 60. They just hit 60 a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. This is how small the world was, and you were in it back then. This is how small the world was 60 years ago. They met when they went to see a yield sign being put in downtown. That was the event in the weekly paper, something to go do. My mom looked at concrete drying. She saw my dad. She's like, well, that's better than looking at that concrete drying, I guess. And I've got kids myself now, too. I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 9-year-old girl. And if that's not enough, recently my wife has even started talking about adoption. And I'm like, honey, slow down. I don't think anybody's going to take these kids off our hands at this point. Start with a little one. I barely know her. Now, they're good kids, but they're different than every generation is different. Not better or worse, just different, you know. Like we were talking 16-year-olds today. Now, some of them love to get their permit like I did. I wanted to drive. I wanted to have some freedom. But my son and none of his friends, they don't want a driver's license. They think it's really dangerous, and they might have a head-on collision with a job or an occupation or something like that. And real dangerous world out there. So I'm still driving my 16-year-old around. Like when they have birthday parties, I'm the guy driving them down. They went to a place called Top Golf. Y'all know about Top Golf? Yeah, if you haven't, I've never heard of it before, but what it is, they take like an old Best Western and knock the back end off of it, and then you hit golf balls out into a field, and they charge you $50 a day to do it. But he said, "Do you mind taking me and 3 of my friends downtown to Top Golf?" I said, "Sure." And I get all them boys loaded up in my car, and I had never heard so many voices cracking in one place at one time. It was like I was hauling donkeys down interstate. It's like, is that a honky tonk down there? You know, like, crack a window, fellas. Put on some D.O. for the B.O., would you? Come on. It's like I was driving a puberty Uber or something, you know. Just like, let's go. And my 9-year-old, she's a pistol, man. Anybody else have a daughter that's just a handful? Yeah, it's okay. Back there. Yeah, it's different raising girls because, you know, they got emotions wrapped up in everything, too. And my 9-year-old, like when everything kind of shut down there at the beginning of the pandemic or what have you, I couldn't go do shows because nobody's allowed to have meetings or nothing like that, so I was home a lot. And I realized my whole family was based on me not being around. I started messing everything up that they had got going. And one night at dinner, about a month into it, my girl looks across the table at me. She goes, "Papa, why are you home all the time now?" And I said, "Well, I can't go to work even if I wanted to. They call my job non-essential." She goes, "What does that mean?" I'm like, "Oh, it's something that's nice to have, but you don't have to have it." She goes, "Oh, I get it, kind of like your hair." I'm like, "Yep, or your college fund, ha." But they're always been funny. If you got kids, you know this. Sometimes kids say really funny stuff, but you can't always laugh because it's not the right kind of funny thing to laugh at. You know what I mean? And sometimes they say weird stuff. You're like, where did that come from? Scary stuff. One day, I remember my son was like 5 years old. I'm tucking him into bed one night. I'm like, "Hey, buddy, hope you have sweet dreams." He looks up at me and goes, "I hope you're still breathing when I wake up in the morning." I'm like, "What do you know that I don't know?" I was awake. I didn't sleep a wink that whole night. And sometimes when they say funny stuff, you just kind of walk in the other room and laugh. You don't want to encourage it, but it was funny, One night we're brushing our teeth before we go to bed. He's probably 6 or 7 at this point, and we're just brushing away, and I see him looking in the mirror at him for a second. Then he looks over at me, then back at him, and then back at me. I said, "What's the matter, buddy?" He said, "Papa, I just noticed me and you, we kind of look alike." I said, "Yeah, what do you think about that?" He goes, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Well, you're going to go to bed early for starters. That's what you're going to do. And you probably won't go to prom. Ha ha." And I'm going to close your door all the way. Hope you're still breathing when I wake up in the morning. But they're good kids. I got a great wife, and that's why, like I say, 20 years. I'm still learning on the job, though, at 20 years, aren't I? I mean, 55 years, you've probably forgotten stuff I haven't even got to yet. It's complex. Here's the thing they should say when they marry two people. They always say for richer or poorer, or for healthier or worse off, and they should say this is going to be a whole different person in 10 years. You want to come back and talk about it, right? Because you keep changing, because you're still growing and they're still growing. And they say the human mind isn't even fully developed until somebody's 27 years old. So that's why I made sure my wife was 26 when I popped the question. She couldn't figure out if she should do it or not. But she says things to me that don't make any sense at all. And almost to the weekend, a year ago, she said this out loud. She goes, "I want you to communicate more, but I'm tired of hearing you talk." I'm like, I may have been thinking the same thing about you, but I didn't know how to say it. I said, "What do you mean by that?" She goes, "Well, sometimes we'll sit down and we'll talk for like a whole hour, but when we get up, we really haven't said anything." I'm like, that's the plan. That's how we don't get in fights, really. She goes, "I think you want me to read your mind." I'm like, "No, I do not want you to read my mind." You'd have punched me in the face 5 seconds ago. I said, "What do you mean by that?" She goes, "Well, I can tell sometimes you're thinking about saying something and you start to, then you don't, and the rest of the night I'm trying to figure out what it was." I'm like, "Well, that's on you if you're trying to figure it out. I probably had gas, probably had that weird look on my face, She said, "Well, if you're thinking things, just say it." And the reason I know it was about a year ago is because it was right before Valentine's Day. And I said, "Well, here's something I'm thinking. I'm out of ideas of stuff to surprise you with for Valentine's or any kind of gifts. After 20 years, 4 or 5 gifts a year, I don't know what to get you." I said, "Is there one thing that you would like that I've never got you?" And she looked at me. She goes, "Oh, well, if getting gifts is what stresses you out, how about this Valentine's Day? We just exchange ideas to each other on a piece of paper instead." I said, "What kind of ideas?" She said, "I'm going to write down a couple of things you're not doing right around the house you could do better, and you write down a couple about me." I'm like, "Stop right there. That's like a trap door on an escalator." I'm like, "Let me get this straight. You're going to tell me something I'm not doing right. I'm going to tell you something you're not doing right, and that's a romantic Valentine's Day?" She goes, "Well, if we fix those 7 or 8 things." I'm like, "She's got a list started already." I'm down 8-0, didn't know I was even playing. And here's how dumb I am. I was thinking I don't have to go shopping or spend any money at all. It won't cost me nothing. I said, "Well, sign me up for that." Then about 4 steps down the hallway, I'm like, I'm a dead man walking. This could cost me the house and kids. I don't know about you guys, but could you think of something? You don't have to raise your hand, but could you think of something to tell your wife out loud that she wasn't doing right around her house? And if you could think of it, would you write it down on a piece of paper to be used as evidence against you? But there I was, down 8-0, trying to figure out what I could tell my wife she was doing wrong. And, I had a couple of things I was thinking about. We'll go out for Valentine's Day dinner. And, last year things were still kind of opening back up where we live. Restaurants are real slow. We went out to eat. 30 minutes we're waiting on our food, and I'm just sweating bullets. I'm like, what am I not doing right? She goes, well, here's the big thing. If I ask you to fix something around the house, can you do it the same year I ask you to do it? I'm like, give me an example. She goes, I'll ask you to change a light bulb that burns out. You wait till every light bulb around it burns out. Then you change them all at once. I'm like, that's why they got the extras, duh. I mean, of course I did not say that. But I was thinking it real loud. What I said was, I'll try harder. Remind me, that's what I said. She goes, okay, what about me? I said, I want to be real clear. You're not doing anything wrong, from what I can tell. But one thing I really miss, before we had our kids 16 years ago, if I was home on the weekend and I wasn't traveling somewhere, you would often surprise me with this big old breakfast, just like I had growing up on the farm. I mean, we had everything. And I know it's hard to cook all that stuff because it takes time and you got the kids' schedule and your schedule, but man, I miss it. And I looked back across the table and she had started tearing up and crying right there at the Hardee's. Yeah. On Valentine's Day. I'm like, you're going to get a soggy thick burger there, girl. Watch out. I said, I didn't mean to make you cry. That's a compliment. Then she goes, oh, well, that's what a compliment sounds like. I'm like, I'm down 10-0 now. I'm like, surely you remember me telling you how good the breakfasts were. I never left any behind. I ate it all. She goes, no. If I remember right, you never told me it was good. I just thought I wasn't cooking as good as your mama cooked for you, so I just quit. And then I started tearing up and crying, thinking about 16 years of Fruity Pebbles and Pop-Tarts I've been shoveling down with soy milk. You ever had that mess? What is that, whiteout and water mixed together? So anyway, that was our Valentine's Day. That we had a thick burger and went to see a movie. And then the next morning, fellas, this is what you get for communicating. I wake up at 6 a.m. and what do I smell? I smell breakfast to cooking. I smell maple syrup and pancakes, and I run downstairs, and my sweet wife had bought a candle somewhere that smells. Oh, it's funny now, ain't it? You ever been hungry and mad at 6 a.m.? I hit the bottom step. I see this candle on the table. I'm like, what is going on with the candle? It's like, oh, I had to use it. The last light bulb just burned out. I'm like, oh, that's on me there. But I'm surprised she stuck with me over the years. She, like getting married, I think, is harder than being married. Anybody get married recently? Like, who's the least amount of time being married in the room? Anybody under 5 years? Under 10? Under 15? Did y'all just stop getting married around these parts? I don't know how it works in Pennsylvania. I'm not in on your ways around here, but did they stop getting married 45 years ago, apparently? Is that how it works? Well, here's all I'll tell you. If a guy's out there thinking about popping the question, don't make the same mistakes I did. Like, I didn't know what ring size she was. I figured there was like small, medium, and large. I didn't have any ideas. And so I'm trying to figure out what ring size she is one day, and it's around Thanksgiving. I just have her trace her hand on a piece of paper, make me a turkey hand drawing. Yeah, she didn't know what I was up to, and neither did the guy at the jewelry store. I put that piece of construction paper down. He's like, you going to marry a turkey or what? I'm like, she is. I said, can't you ballpark the ring size from that turkey hand drawing? He goes, do you even listen to the words that come out of your face? I said, can't you ballpark it? He goes, no, it's easy to get the ring size, but you got to be sneaky. I said, what should I do? He goes, well, next time you go pick her up for a date or something, see if you can find out where she keeps her rings. She'll probably have like a little box of them somewhere. Get one ring out there that she never wears and bring it down here, and I'll size it up for you. She won't miss it for a day. She won't even know it's gone. And I knew I could do that because back in those early days when we were dating, she spent extra time getting ready to go out for whatever reason, and she had one eyebrow that would stick straight out and give her fits. It was like coaxial cable. It was thick, and it was ready to go. And she would wet it down, then put hairspray on it and mash back on it for like 5 minutes. And if she let off 1 second too early, ping, it popped right back out. So, and she would push so hard she'd be grunting. She'd be like, So I'm sitting there in the kitchen, I'm waiting, and I hear ping. I'm like, I got 5 more minutes right now. So I snuck right by her, and I went into her room and started looking around, found a ring, and took it to the jewelry store next day. And this guy has a piece of rebar that he drops the ring on, and it tells you what ring size she is. So he says, I got the ring size. What do you want to do now? I said, well, I know what I want to do. I want to get an engagement ring and a wedding band and 2 separate receipts in case she runs off with it, because I ain't going through that again for the 4th time. But so anyway, I had those 2 rings burned a hole in my pocket, the engagement ring. And so Christmas, I'm down in Arkansas, where she's from, and visiting my future in-laws. And I get down on my knee, pop the question, and apparently I had gotten a toe ring off of her dresser top. Yeah. She had a princess cut toe ring. But she didn't complain. She just put on a flip-flop and hobbled on down the aisle. Let's do it. It was Arkansas, so that flip-flop was an upgrade at the last second. And that's like, I tell you, man, and the weddings are expensive. Like we had a storm come through Nashville 2 days before our wedding, and the reception hall at our church got hit with a big oak tree, so we couldn't have our reception in there. We could have the service in the sanctuary, but we had to find a hotel ballroom on 2 days' notice for 300 people, and boy, they knew they had us. One guy said, I'll cut you a deal, give you the main ballroom for the night, $12,000. I'm like, who's getting cut? I'll buy me a single wide and keep it and make some money off of this deal, I said, I can't afford $12,000 for a party. I said, where can I have my reception at? That guy just looked at me. He's like, rest area, I-65. Man, he was right. That was easy access off the interstate. Everything was bolted down so nobody could haul it off in the truck. Had it catered by vending. That's a good way to go right there. And my wife it was a nice wedding, but she had too many bridesmaids. Like, ladies, how many bridesmaids is a good number? I'll ask just the ladies on this one. I think 5 would be good. My wife had 10. I only have 3 friends. I was like, 2 more laps. One of you got to pick up the third. Let's go. Keep it rolling. Yeah, but she is good. And her family's from Arkansas, which, for a comedian, it doesn't get much better than that. That's the gift that keeps on giving right there. How many folks have ever been to Arkansas? Anybody make it that far down there? What took you all the way down there? Oh, what part? Okay. Well, you know where Hot Springs is, so you know where Camden is? Okay, that's where she's from. If you don't know where Camden, Arkansas is, all the unused ammunition that the United States has ever had is buried underground there, right? Like, it'd be the first place hit with a nuclear bomb, and then the whole South would be gone. But people are just smoking and throwing them on the ground like it's not even happening. They're just like, that's great. So, Arkansas, it's kind of laid back down there. I like it, My in-laws are real crazy. My brother-in-law, Skillet, is the nuttiest guy you ever met in your life. Skillet, yeah. Well, long story short, he got beat up by a Waffle House waitress with a skillet. He forgot to pay, and she caught him in the parking lot. He was scattered, smothered, and covered right there, But Skillet's a good old boy. Drives a UPS van. Not for a job. He just got one at an auction real cheap. So he can park wherever he wants, And he modified it. It's like a deer hunting lodge on wheels now, which is it's pretty sweet. Where's the hunters in the room? I'm sure we got hunters around here. In the blue shirt, did you go hunting this year? What'd you get? Nothing. How many days did you go? Just one. What did you take the rifle even, or? Yeah, who got a deer this year? Anybody get one? You right there. What'd you get? 12 point. That's pretty good. Now, how many days did it take you to get him? Just one. You went on the wrong day, apparently, sir. He just went. That's good. Just put corn on the hood of the car and just back it in the garage and take him out. It saves your back in the long run doing it that way. That's good. Well, how many people don't go hunting? Where are y'all at? It's okay. Now, if you don't go hunting, you think it's easy to get a deer because you see them sleeping on the side of the interstate every time you take a road trip. They're just snoozing away. But when you don't get a deer, and this guy in the blue shirt knows, on your way back home, it seems like everybody else got one just to rub it in. You ever notice that? Yeah. We're driving back in this UPS van, which, by the way, if you ever get the chance to go hunting in one, do it. But get up early because there's only 2 seats in the front. I was the third guy to get in. They had me on an old office chair, and it was missing 2 wheels. I was flying through the front and almost out the back, and I'm screaming, and they just threw a roll of duct tape at me. I'm like, you want me to tape myself to the wall? Like, no, rip off a piece as big as your mouth. You're scaring away all the deer out here. But we didn't get a deer. It's one of those things where we saw a couple early in the day, and we thought we could do better, and then we didn't, and that's how my wife married me, I think. But we're going back, and 2 guys pass us in a Geo Metro. They've been hunting. Remember those Geo Metros, those little cars? Yeah, they all over Arkansas. They had the deer in the back seat, and they had the window rolled down and his head sticking out like, ah. I'm like, that deer's a loser twice. That's embarrassing right there. But yeah, I enjoy hunting. I grew up hunting, you know, and when I got married, I showed my wife where my rifle was. We got our house together, so I'm going to put the rifle back here in the closet. It's not loaded. Just leave it alone. She goes, okay. A few months later, I notice it's gone. I'm like, where'd you move it? She goes, oh, well, the police department had this special thing going on. You could bring down any firearm or rifle you didn't want in your house, and they would destroy it for you, no questions asked. I'm like, well, the questions are starting now. I said, you're kidding, right? She goes, no, I was thinking about it. You're real clumsy. You're going to get out there in the woods one day and slip on a root and shoot off half your face, and where's it going to leave me the rest of my life? And she said that about 20 years ago. Got me a new rifle for Christmas, so trying to speed things up, apparently. Moving things along. But she's a great gal. She puts up with my family. That's the other half of it. Y'all know how that works, right? Sometimes it's a little easier to put up with the other half than yours. But my family's all from Kentucky. Saw them 2 weeks ago. My parents are in their mid to late 80s. My dad's 87. My mom's 84. And they're still in the little ranch house on the tobacco farm I grew up in, little bitty place. Hasn't changed a bit. I stopped by, said, anything new going on around here? And my mom was all excited. She goes, oh, yeah. We just got a home security system installed. What do you think about that? I'm like, what are you thinking? Somebody's going to break in and remodel when you're not looking? Like if somebody knocked down the door at my parents' house, they would turn the gun on themselves for picking that house. They're like, are we in a 70s museum? What is this place? They'd knock down the door and trip over the beanbag chair and hit the couch and slide off the plastic that came with the couch. You know, they hit the wall, big orange picture made out of yarn, and nails will come right down on them. My dad would be throwing pet rocks. Stay down, stay down. I said, Mom, even if somebody broke into your house, they couldn't get away with your stereo. They had to bring 8 more guys in a pickup truck. Right? Y'all remember that big old stereo? 6 foot wide, hi-fi. Looked like wood, made out of plastic, and heavier than concrete. Remember that? I mean, if somebody broke in, I'd tell my mom, just go in there and hide in that compartment between the speakers and wait for them to go away. Pop out with an Oak Ridge Boys 8-track tape. Take that. Giddy up, boom, bop, a mow, mow. I know. I shouldn't make fun of that stereo. It's going to be mine one day. Probably sooner than later. My parents are downsizing. You ever been through that? It sounds nice, but they're just giving me stuff they should have thrown away 30 or 40 years ago. I mean, I know you've been through it. Like, they gave me an old computer when I was there 2 weeks ago. An old computer they found in the attic. A Commodore 64. Who knows what that is? Yeah, so it's from 1981. My older brother got that when he was in junior high. My mom gave me that computer, said, see if you can get it running. Gave it to me and put it in my trunk. I go back to Nashville a couple days later. I look at it, I just throw it away. And as I'm throwing it away, she calls me on the phone. Hey, you got that thing running yet? I'm like, well, we got Windows 57 on there so far. I can't even catch a virus. It gets a sniffle, shuts right on down. You know. So how did you know about the Commodore 64? Were you computer people? You were, sir, in the blue shirt? Oh, man. So were you in on the early side of things? 85. Now, the kids in the room won't believe this, but the hard drive used to be a cassette deck, right? That you would hook up to an old black and white TV, which was your monitor. And it had, gigabytes weren't a thing yet. It had, 2 megabytes was the memory? Like, you had to flip the cassette tape over if you wanted to get a whole program running. And the only program was a flight simulator. It was 2 dots on the screen, and you had to land them in a field. My older brother got that and knew how to reprogram it like 2 or 3 weeks later. I don't know where he got that knowledge. My parents' first time ever on the internet and on a computer was just a few weeks ago at Christmas. They'd gotten tired of, they don't drive as much as they used to, and they get tired of not seeing their grandkids as much as they want to. So we got them a basic laptop, Chromebook with a little camera on it so they can see their grandkids anytime they want. That's what they're supposed to use it for. We give it to them, hook them up with the internet and everything for a Christmas present. A few days later, my dad calls me up. He's like, Richard Dale, I'm about to fire off an email. Keep an eye out for it. I'm like, all right. And just so you know, you don't have to call people right before you fire off an email to them. If you're going to text me later, send me a smoke signal. That'd be nice. So I figured my dad, who'd never been online, was just wanting to make sure his email got to me, so I checked my inbox. There's an email, but it's not coming directly from my dad. It's asking me if I want to follow him on Twitter. Yeah, this ain't good for nobody right here. I don't know about your parents, but mine don't need to be on Twitter. So I click on there to see if he put out any tweets. He, at that point, maybe had the computer for a week or so. My dad had put out 165 tweets. Yeah, all capital letters, no punctuation, 0 followers. I'm like, he's just tweeting in the breeze. Let him rip, you know? And then I'm thinking, what in the world is my dad so fired up about? Like, I'll be honest, when I visit him for a weekend, he might not say 165 words. He's just an old, quiet farm guy. But I'm thinking maybe Twitter is his deal, so maybe it could be good. It wasn't good. I started scrolling down there through it and realized about after 5 minutes, it wasn't 165 individual tweets over the week. It was one big story that took him 7 days to type in there. Took up 167 space. Yeah, gets even worse. The whole story was about birds because my dad thought Twitter was a bird watching, updating website. Yeah. That's my gene pool. I'm lucky I found this place, to be honest with you. So if you're on Twitter, I'm trying to get him more followers. He's up to 2. It's me and the Audubon Society so far. But you can find him. He's at Nuthatcher, 401-261853. Which is also his social security number. So if you want to log him out, the password is password. All capitals. But I get a lot of stuff from my parents. I get cholesterol from them, apparently. I found out 2 months ago I got high cholesterol. How many folks out there got high cholesterol? Do y'all have a doctor to go to around here? Somebody in the room got, does Zane have high cholesterol? I'm going to you on this one, buddy. Yeah. Working on a glue farm, it's going to happen to you eventually. I understand. Nobody's got high cholesterol? I'll be honest, I don't think anybody really does. I think it's a scam. Don't you think it's a scam? Yeah. Here's how I know, because I didn't have it till he told me I had it. I didn't wake up that morning with some kind of warning sign, like I can't get my fork into the gravy. What's going on, you know? I go and just get regular blood work done and regular checkup, and he calls me up a week later. He's like, your cholesterol number is 425. I'm like, is that good or bad? He's like, you get to go to regionals. You're qualifying round already, 425. And if you don't know, it's supposed to be under 200. 200 or below is where you want to get it. So he goes, do you have cholesterol? But do you understand what? Yeah. So he told me I got to change my diet and my exercise programs. And I just laughed. I said, sir, I don't have either program going on right now. What should I change first, and what could I get on? He goes, well, why don't you just get on a diet that you can stick with and come back in about a month, we'll check you again. I said, well, what diet? He goes, I'm going to let you pick a diet that you can stick with. That's the dumbest thing a doctor could ever say. The reason I got cholesterol is I like to eat meat a lot, so I started Googling diets that let you eat meat. And it came back with the Atkins diet. You ever hear about that one? That's the hardest diet. It looks great on paper, but it's hard to stick with it. You're supposed to eat meat 5 or 6 times a day. Then it says, go smoke a cigarette and take a nap. I know. That was the Chet Atkins diet that I got on. And if you don't know who that is, there's no chance you have high cholesterol. So the diet didn't work. Then he said, you got to get some exercise going. I said, what should I do for that? And he actually looked right at me and says, why don't you ride a bicycle 3 or 4 times a week for about an hour at a time? I said, I'll tell you why not. I'm 53 years old. When you see a man my age on a bicycle, you don't think he's exercising, do you? You're like, that poor guy had a repo or a DUI or something like that. You're not thinking Lance Armstrong. You're thinking jail time with that guy. But so I didn't want to ride a bike. And then he said, well, we got medicine we could put you on. And I said, well, I know, because every TV show I watch is wall-to-wall medicine commercials. Anybody else in that age group now where it's nonstop? And it seems like this pill they tell you here on this commercial causes a problem that you got to solve with the next pill on the next commercial. It's all a big scam. They just want to put pills on you, you know? And they're expensive. He put me on Lipitor for about a week, and then I had to renew my initial subscription. It was $8 a pill. That's a Big Mac and a side of fries, y'all. $8. And one morning I dropped one of my pills, and I couldn't find it, and I was out $8. And so now I just wrap it up in a piece of bacon, swallow it whole every day. Just melt some cheese on there so it sticks real good. You get a toothpick in there, that's a pill in a blanket, I tell you. But yeah, I got the high cholesterol going on a little bit, so I'm trying to eat more chicken, which is it's easy enough to do, man. There's a million chicken places. I like going to Chick-fil-A. Y'all got Chick-fil-A's around here? How far do you have to go to get to a Chick-fil-A? 2 hours? But who likes Chick-fil-A when you can get to one? Yeah. It's amazing how good just a job they do of doing their job. It's not complex to make a chicken sandwich, but so many places mess it up, you know? And here's how nice they are. This happened in San Antonio, Texas last year. A guy was taking his wife to the hospital to give birth, and she couldn't make it all the way. The baby was going to come no matter what. She told her husband, pull up here on this exit. There's a Chick-fil-A up ahead. It'll be clean, and the people will be nice, and they'll help us out. And yeah, first off, that's good PR. If people are having babies at your fast food joint, ain't no babies over at Arby's. That's all I'm saying right now. You know, they got the meats, but they ain't got the newborns. So the husband pulls in there at the Chick-fil-A. They give birth, and everything works out great. Baby's healthy, and everybody's happy. And the guy that ran that restaurant was so excited about it. He said, you know what? This entire family, all of y'all can eat here for free until that child turns 14 years old, and then we'll give that child a job if they want it right here at this Chick-fil-A. How nice is that? I didn't know it worked like that, you know. I told my wife, if we ever want to think about having another baby, let's have it at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, you know, because I ain't paying $18 for mashed potatoes twice in my life, I tell you that. That waiter bring out the bill, sir, it's $150. I don't think so. Have you met my baby, Ruth? She was born right there. But yeah, I love chicken. And why were people messing with chicken? By the way, whoever made the wings out there, raise your hand. They were phenomenal. You did? I had the ones that were mild, but man, they were crispy too. How do you get it to do that? You bake them and then sauce them up and then put them in okay. That's a 3-step process. All right. You got time for that on the glue farm? It seems like you'd be really working hard down there. I guess they'll stick to my ribs is what you're saying. I'm figuring this family out right here. But I saw this. It came out last week. Kentucky Fried Chicken has chickenless chicken now. Have y'all seen this? Plant-based chicken. Colonel Sanders is rolling over in his grave right now, isn't he? He's kicking the bucket a second time, you know. I mean, if I bite into a wing ding and it tastes like a green bean, we're going to fight. That's all I'm saying. And I know people have different allergies, and, you know, my son's got a little bit of that gluten thing going on, so I get to eat all his good, tasty food, and he gets the stuff that's dry. But there's too many options. Here's the thing. If you're going to give somebody a healthier option, just tell them what it is. Don't try to trick them. Like my wife tried to slide me an Impossible Burger without telling me what it was. How many folks have had an Impossible Burger out there? They don't have Impossible Burgers or marriages or anything going on around this part. There are some franchise opportunities happening around this neck of the woods is all I'm saying. Nobody's getting married. You could have an Impossible Burger at a wedding. It's a whole new experience for everybody. We haven't seen this in 30 years. Well, the Impossible Burger, my wife, she put it on the grill with my other burgers when I wasn't looking, so it had a little grill mark on it. And then she tried to put it on my plate, and I took one bite. I knew it wasn't a hamburger. I'm like, what is that? She goes, oh, it's a bunch of vegetables squished together to taste like meat. Like when I was growing up, they called that hamburger helper, you know. It didn't help that burger at all. Oh, no, man. But my favorite place, and I don't know if you have these very close, Cracker Barrel. How far is that? About an hour. Anybody get the breakfast every time they go? I love the breakfast. That's my favorite. I almost died one time at a Cracker Barrel. And after, you know, everything worked out fine. Obviously, I'm still here. But I was thinking that'd be a great place to have your funeral reception at, you know. Everybody can sit in them rocking chairs and play checkers and tell stories about you, you know. I told him to cut that cholesterol out 40 years ago. He wouldn't listen, you know. But here was my deal. I'm sitting at a Cracker Barrel in Arkansas. Tornado siren goes off. I start looking for a safe place to hide. Like, can you pick a more unsafe restaurant to be in during a tornado? You ever look at the walls and ceilings? They got hose, pitchforks, antlers, like golf tees are flying at you 90 miles an hour. It's like a hillbilly matrix. Like, I was slipping on cherry cobbler for a half an hour trying to get out. Some places you drive, man, you're just happy to see anything. By the way, it's beautiful driving down here today. Like, I mean, you got hills and trees, and I had to drive across Kansas last year. They don't have either of those things. Like, how many folks have ever driven across Kansas? Man, what took you all the way out there? An adventure. You bought a truck in Kansas? Oh, you had to drive all the way across? I did the same, similar. I had to drive from Boise, Idaho, all the way through Wyoming, Colorado, Kansas, all the way to Tennessee. And man, I tell you, what did you think about Kansas? Did you drive it at night? That's when it's really the best. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to see in the daytime. And and I knew it was going to be flat. They tell you about that. But I didn't know you had to bring your own people. I had no idea. That tornado from The Wizard of Oz took everybody and everything. And you maybe noticed this. I didn't notice till it was too late. The highway patrol in Kansas has to drive unmarked patrol cars because they drove a regular one with something on top. You could spot it 6 or 7 hours away, right? I didn't know. I'm in the right lane. Guy goes flying by me in a Trans Am. I'm like, all right, I ought to get right behind that guy. He's probably got a radar detector. He had the radar, and I did not detect it, apparently. So I start trying to catch up to him, and this was maybe 10 years ago, but even then I still have my 1996 3 out of 4 cylinder Isuzu pickup truck with a camper top on the back. I mean, that's a woman getter right there, ain't it, ladies? Yeah. But I'm trying to catch up to this guy. He started slowing down. So I figured, uh-oh, must be some police up ahead. I'll slow down too. Then he speeds up. I'm like, coast is clear. Let's get it going, buddy. And he kept doing this for like 4 or 5 miles. And then he started switching lanes and like kicking up gravel like he's really swerving everywhere. I'm like, well, he's falling asleep behind the wheel or something. I ought to get his attention and see if he's okay. I know. You ever been so stupid you pulled the cops over? Anybody else? You want to talk about some paperwork. Whew. I don't know how to pull anybody over. I just start flipping my one good high beam at him for a little while. Roll down my window. I'm like, boo! I must have swallowed 13 skeeters before he pulls over. He pulls over. I wait for him to get out, but he doesn't get out of his vehicle. So I'm starting to thinking this guy's falling asleep or maybe had a heart attack. I'm worried about him. I charge his vehicle. I'm running up there. I just start pounding on his window. Yeah, meanwhile, he's been loading the revolver on the other side. Then he cracks the window, and I see he's an officer. I got zero game plan. But I start thinking I should arrest him for reckless driving before he gets on me about speeding, right? But I don't know how to arrest nobody. All I know is from watching the Andy Griffith Show my entire life, like Barney Fife, you know. I just walk up there, I'm like, hey! Would you mind rolling down the window? You want to get out of the vehicle there, buddy? Ah, you're a big one too, aren't you? Look at you. Want to know why I pulled you over? Because I'm an idiot. Why? I thought I was going to prison right there. He's like, you're so weird, I'll drop you off wherever you want to go. Boy, he threw me in the backseat of his little Trans Am and locked me in there, and he gets on his shoulder radio. He's like, 5 minutes later, 6 more po-po show up. Like, I hadn't seen 6 people all week. Now we got a party going on outside. He gets back in, slams the door, and he's even madder than when he got out. He's like, first off, fellas want to know who pulled over who. I said, man, I know it's weird and confusing, but for me too. You were swerving around up there. I thought you'd fallen asleep behind the wheel. He goes, swerving? You're dumb as a brick. I was trying to get behind you to pull you over for speeding, but you wouldn't let me. I'm like, well, how was I supposed to know who you were? You never turned on your lights or your sirens, did you? I go, well, you got me there. They went out on me yesterday. I'm like, well, I'll let you go if you let me go. He said, I can't let you go. Do you know how fast you were moving back there? I'm like, I got no clue. My speedometer broke in 06. He said, I was pacing you at one point. You hit 102 miles an hour. What do you have to say about that? I mean, you never lie. I said, sir, that is good in a 3-cylinder Isuzu pickup truck. I say print that out. It's going to help me with my trade-in value right there, ain't it? Then he said, what brings you out here to Kansas? I see you've got Tennessee license plates. I said, well, I was working out here, but now I'm headed on back home. He goes, what kind of work? I said, well, I'm a comedian. I was in Wichita doing a fundraising event. If you need to check out my story. He goes, back it up. You're a comedian? I said, yes, sir. He goes, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm a big fan of comedians. I know all the good ones. And I'm looking at your name and your face here. You don't ring a bell. He goes, you must not be very good. You ever been on Letterman or Leno or something like that? And I couldn't stop myself. I'm like, nah. You ever been on Cops? Ha! So, that'll be on in a few weeks if you want to see me on Cops. So, coming back on in another week or so. All right, I'm going to play a couple things here on the guitar for you before we head out. You guys doing good so far tonight? Good. Y'all are a fun bunch. All right. And who brought the guitar? Mine got stuck at the airport. And what's your name? Andrew? Very good. You play in a band? You play here at church? You do a little bit of everything? Excellent. And this is real nice. I got a very similar guitar. If you ever want to get a new guitar, just have an airplane break it. Or if you get a broken one, take it on a flight and then let them know that they broke it. So I think that's what I'm going to be up against tomorrow. All right. Oh, that sounds good. Where'd you get the red strings at? Did you paint those yourself or? Oh, on Amazon. I'm going to get, they look cool. Can y'all see the red from back there? I'm going to up my game a little bit so I can be like Andrew when I grow up. All right, let's see what kind of musical taste we got up here. I know we're kind of north of where I'm from, but do we have any Southern rock fans in the room? That guy, me and that guy? All right, here we go. That's all I know of Southern rock right there. Kind of gets you fired up for a second, though, don't it? I mean, I was thinking about this. How lucky is the state of Alabama? They got a cool song with their name of the state in it, and probably people around the world, it's the first time they ever hear the word Alabama, and it's kind of a cool thing to associate it with. You know, not every state gets that lucky. You know, they did a show in West Virginia a while back. I'm like, y'all got a song like that? They're like, yeah. Where'd he go? You know. I grew up on all kinds of music. I got out of high school in the 80s. How many folks got out of high school in the 80s? All right. So y'all probably had the same kind of music I grew up on. In 86, when I got out, it was all heavy metal hair bands. Remember those days? Like our prom theme was Poison, Every Rose Has a Thorn. Y'all remember Poison? I heard a commercial. They're on tour this coming summer with Rat and Warrant. The surviving members. They're all doing a show out there collectively. And their slogan on their commercial was same songs, same energy, different decade. I'm like, we got the first and last one right. I bet Poison can't even get through a song, you know? They'd probably come out on stage like, all right, let's go. Probably change their name to Defibrillator by the end of the summer. But that was my music growing up. And then in the 90s, none of that heavy metal stuff was around anymore. It was all grunge music. Anybody got out of high school in the 90s? A few of you back there? Yeah, so this is my favorite Pearl Jam song right here. Oh, here, boy, here, boy, here, boy, how about it? What is that guy trying to say? Sounds like Bob Dylan getting the Heimlich maneuver or something like, whew. But yeah, I grew up on all kinds of stuff. When I moved to Nashville 20 years ago, I didn't play guitar at all, but when you close on your house, they give you one. So it was kind of neat how that worked out. And one of the first guys I met when I was there, kind of famous guy for at least us older folks, Ray Stevens. Y'all remember Ray Stevens? Yeah. Met him several times. He said, I was talking about it, songs he wrote when I was growing up. If you never heard of Ray Stevens, Google him later. He's got 1 million YouTube videos, and he's been around forever, probably 600 songs. But he would write songs like there's a Mississippi Squirrel Revival. Anybody know that one? So a squirrel gets loose in the church and runs up. And yeah, you know that one? Yeah, so he's a funny guy. But I said, how do you come up with all those ideas? And he goes, really, the ideas are no different than a regular song idea. But what I did is if there was a song already written about something, I would just stay away from it and find something else. He goes, write songs about stuff nobody's writing songs about it. You'll have fun doing it. So I wrote this song. This is all about the fun you can have when you drive around in a rental car. Y'all ever rented a car before and just beat it up for a week or so? Yeah, it's a good time. Some people don't know about this. You can rent a car for like 40 or 50 bucks a day. For $20 more, you can buy all the insurance you need to total that vehicle. And they try to push it on you. Like the guy will say, hey, you want our insurance for 20 bucks? And at first I was like, I got State Farm. I think I'm covered. He's like, no, but if you get into an accident You're going to have a $500 deductible at State Farm. If you get this $20, you won't have to pay nothing. I'm like, is this a double dog dare? I'm in. Here's 40, follow me in 2 cars. I'm going to wreck this thing in the parking lot. I'm going to take out the whole aisle of cars over there. $20, that's a good deal. So, and maybe you've got a teenager like I do, and you don't want them tearing up your car while you're teaching them how to drive. You get you a car at the airport and let them do whatever they want and get it out of their system. Just pay that extra $20. You can do everything you hear in this song. There's something about a rental that seems so appealing. It may just be a you go, but you go four-wheeling. Play bumper cars on crowded city streets. Put your cigarettes out right in the seat. It's a rental. It's not really your car. You can knock down Harleys outside of a biker bar. You can drag race a hearse, get it up to 90, pop it in reverse. You can get in the left lane and go 35, set that cruise control and sleep while you drive. Let a strange dog have its litter on the floor, knock down pedestrians by opening the door. It's rental. You don't have to keep it clean. See how it runs on a tank of kerosene. Whew. There we go. All right. Let's see. Thank you. I got to learn how to end a song. How do you end a song, Andrew? Do you kind of like go like that? Oh, yeah, you got to kind of look back here. There we go. Andrew's going to come up here in a minute and help me out, I think. Let's see, where's the country music fans in the room? Do we have a few people that like country? Oh, good. I like it. Some places I go, like nobody in the audience will admit to liking it or they don't like it at all. One guy came up after a show and goes, man, I can't tell a good country song from a bad country song. And that broke my heart. There's a lot of great country songs, but he didn't know what to listen for. So if you're in that category, I'm going to help you out tonight. Every great country song ever written has to have one of these things somewhere. You ever hear one of those? That's how you know it's a hit right there. Only country songs do that. You never crank up heavy metal like... And I think it was the late, great Johnny Cash that came up with it. Y'all remember those old Johnny Cash songs? And I think it was an accident, and they caught it on tape, and they just kept on doing it. He's probably hanging out one day going, man, these songs are all right. I believe I need a... Whoa. Could have had a jalapeno popper and wrote Burn a Ring of Fire right there. You know? And it burns, burns, burns. The other thing I like about country music is they would team up once in a while, and even now they still do some duets where it's kind of cool. Zach Brown did one with Alan Jackson a while back. Willie Nelson and Toby Keith did one. So what I want to do to wrap up tonight is get, why not Andrew up here to help me on this last song? Would you mind coming up here and doing a little, oh cool, he didn't know about this. And would you mind giving him the handheld mic that you have right there? Now I know you play guitar, do you do a little bit of singing too? Excellent, excellent. Do me a favor, stand over here on this side so I don't get you with the guitar there. Andrew, nice to meet you. Thanks for letting me borrow the guitar, by the way.
My pleasure.
Yes, it plays real good.
I'm going to hear about this tomorrow morning, by the way.
Well, the thing is, it'll be a cool thing because this song is all about being proud to be a manly man. You proud to be a manly man?
Sure.
Oh, you're just being modest. He didn't even have facial hair this morning. This all happened in the past hour.
Those two words have rarely been used to describe me.
Well, we're going to redefine who you are then. Manly Mandrew is who we got up here now. I think it's going to work. So all you got to do in this song, Andrew, is anytime you hear me say, I'm just a guy, you sing, guy, I'm just a guy.
Guy, I'm just a guy.
Just like that. All right, let's practice it one time so you kind of see where it goes. I'm just a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
Perfect. All right, can you hear him in the balcony? Ooh, we forgot to build it. Okay, so we're going to try one more time. Here we go. I'm just a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
Man, that's really good. I think it's great. So I think it's only fair since Andrew is helping out up here, everybody sitting down can help us out. Don't you think that's fair?
Sounds fair.
All right. So at the very end of the song, I'll say 3, 2, 1, drum solo. I want you all to stomp your feet or do some drumming on the seat backs, just like that. If you got a new knee or something like that, go ahead and slam it. You won't feel it anyway. Get that popping sound coming in. And when you hear the drumming, Andrew, since I've got your guitar, I'm going to need you to do a little air guitar solo to finish things up with me.
All right.
All right, so the faster they drum, the faster we got to keep up. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So we're just going to practice the singing part one last time. If he nails it like those first 2 times, I want every lady out there to scream and holler like it's the end of a 10-hour Luke Bryan concert, all right? Here we go. I'm just a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
All right. Well, I don't like 5-hour phone calls or spending all day at the shopping mall. I'd rather get mad and punch a hole in the wall. I'm a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
Yeah, and I never say I love you all that much. When we dine out, it better be Dutch. I can't mend a broken heart, but I can fix your clutch. I'm a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
I'm just a guy, what can I say? I remembered bowling night, but I forgot your birthday. I'm a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
I left the toilet seat up and you slipped in. I took a picture and showed all your friends. Ain't it funny how fast relationships can end? I'm a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
I'm just a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
I'm just a guy, don't mean no harm. One day I'll grow up and have a glue farm. I'm a guy.
Guy, just a guy.
I'm just a guy.
A glue guy, just a guy.
All right, I'm gonna count down from 3. When I hit that 1, I want a big old drum solo and some air guitar. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, help us out. There you go. All right, give it up for Andrew, everybody. That was great. One more time, Andrew. I think you broke a string. That was... You broke a string on your air guitar.
Oh, yeah, I did that last week, actually.
Did you?
On that, right?
On this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, how would you know?
Bottom string, see it's not red.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Well, thanks again for letting me borrow this. In fact, I'm going to give it to you now before I do anything wrong with it and break it like all my other guitars. One more round of applause for Andrew there. That was excellent. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Well, I hope you had some fun tonight. I know, you know, the Bible talks about a merry heart doeth the soul good, and we don't get together enough to laugh on purpose, and I recommend scheduling time once in a while to laugh. They actually say 30 minutes of laughter is equal to a 2-hour workout in the gym. So think about that. You could walk by a gym and laugh at a guy for 30 minutes for lifting weights. You're good to go for 2 more days. And I don't take it for granted that I get to do this because there was a year where I really didn't get to do it, and so I appreciate the opportunity. And it gave me a year to think about things a little bit, and not the only thing, but I think the main thing I've learned in the past couple of years, we've all had tough times, is you just got to be patient with everybody else, right? No matter where you stand on something, half the country is opposite of where you're at, so just kind of as Christians, we're supposed to love our neighbor, let them figure it out on their own. God's with them too, whether they like what we do or not, you know? And sometimes it's amazing that people don't get that. Like, I'll just leave with this. I was going into a Walmart a couple of days ago, and they had a sign that says, you don't have to wear a mask, but if you don't mind for our workers, throw one on, you know? Basically, that's what it said. Well, I had one in my pocket because I'm just used to keeping it in there. I'm like, I'll throw it on. I'm going to be there for 30 seconds. So I go to put it on. I'm not even inside the store yet, and this lady pops out of nowhere like a pandemic genie. She's like, appears. And she's like, sir, I don't know if anybody's explained this to you or not, but you don't have to wear those things outside. It ain't a good look, and it ain't doing nothing for you. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I just took a step back, and I looked at her, and she's wearing socks and Crocs and a pajama top. I'm like, right back at you. I don't know if anybody's explained this to you or not, but you don't have to wear that out in public. It ain't a good look, and it ain't doing nothing for you, Karen, so have a good day. But anyway, It's been a lot of fun. Hope you all had as much fun as I did. God bless you all. Take care and have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming. Man, that did good. Felt good. Love to do that. We want to do that again. We're just believing to, man, make this something that we do every year. So have a safe trip home. Be blessed. Make sure you grab a snack on the way out. We'll see you guys later.